Hey y'all, if y'all are watching, say something in the chat. Let us know you're there. We're about to go live on the air. Can you turn it up for me a little bit?
Good.
Yep.
I didn't want to overshadow your conversation earlier. That's why I put it down.
You know
Okay,
you're
we are ready.
awesome.
5. Live.
Hey everyone, it is Wednesday. You are listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I am Agent Key, and we are selling Sacramento. On today's show, we are talking about how to prepare for 7% interest rates. So let me preface this by saying the feds are determined to crush demand and correct the housing market. That interest rate, they called Monday in the mortgage market Bloody Monday, y'all. Lenders are struggling to put together responsive rate sheets fast enough. Homes are sitting on the market longer, but do they have to? Construction is slowing on purpose, but it's still coming, and inventory is on the rise. It seems a bit chaotic if you don't have the proper perspective. So, on today's show, in the words of my pastor, Kenny Ray Reese, we're going to give you a window to see through. We're going to clear up the chaos, whether you are buying or selling. We're here to let you know today it's going to be all right. Myself and my lender partner, Jamal Bay from Guild Mortgage, is in the house this afternoon. Say hello, Jamal.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Key, how's everybody doing out there?
All is well. All is well. We are excited to have you here to talk about this. And first, I just want to remind everyone that Selling Sacramento is brought to you each and every Wednesday by Matthews and Company Realty Group, where I, Agent Key, am the broker and owner. And if you go to my website at agentkee.com, you will find an opportunity to talk to me, whether you are interested in selling a home or if you want to just have the conversation and position yourself to buy. We will help you map out a plan to get into home ownership. So at agentkee.com, at the top of my website, you will have an opportunity to either email me, schedule a Zoom chat to just chat with Key, talk to me specifically about a home that you have that you want to sell, or just have the conversation about home ownership. Also, I am excited to announce that we have kicked off our Club 100, and that is our opportunity to help 100 buyers into home ownership. This is a buyer's market that we are in. Every single day that goes by, what the feds are doing and what we're going to explain to you today, we're going to explain the strategy of what's happening behind the interest rate, and we're going to uncover, reveal, help you better understand and get clarity as to why this is such an awesome buyer's market opportunity that's coming before us over the next probably 2-3 years, starting today. So I'm excited to announce Club 100. If you go to joinclub100.com, click on Join Club 100 when you get to the page, and you will get connected with our team, myself, my lender partners, the agent associates who I have chosen from around Sacramento, from top brokerages. We have all come together to help you map out a plan towards home ownership. So I'm excited to announce that last week we closed our first buyer. Not only did we do that, last week we also held 6 buyer consultations. So congratulations to all 6 of those individuals who took the leap, who took the first step towards home ownership. And they are all right now working with different lender partners and different agents towards getting themselves ready for home ownership, for what is coming. You know that saying, stay ready so you don't have to get ready? They did that. So hats off to them. And I'm excited to tell you that we have 3 more appointments lined up within the next 48 hours. 3 more buyer consults where people have just reached out and said, you know what? I am ready. I'm ready. I don't know what my credit looks like. I don't know. I just started working, or I've been working, I've been saving. Whatever the situation is, go to joinclub100.com. JOINCLUB100.com. Join Club 100. Become a part of the 100 over the next 365 days, where you say, I have started down the path of home ownership. Whether you start or close escrow, it's all on your time. This is not a pressure cooker situation. This is us saying we are going to take the steps necessary to help make it happen for you if you're ready to take that next step. Join club100.com. So with that being said, now we want to talk to the sellers. This can't be a buyer's market if we don't have houses to buy, right, Jamal?
That's right.
Yeah. So I have taken it upon myself to get this information specifically for you sellers, to let you know the past market that was a seller's market, right, Jamal?
Mm-hmm.
Sellers were selling because why? Why were sellers selling? Jamal, just give us that background over these past couple of years. Why was it a seller's frenzy?
Well, we talked about it before, actually, on your show. During the pandemic, year 2020, 2021, the federal government was subsidizing the mortgage-backed securities market, which means that they were the largest purchaser of mortgage-backed securities, which inherently and directly controls interest rates. And so as a result, we experienced some of the lowest rates in our modern history in terms of mortgage lending, where we were in the sub 3% range. As a result, that literally caused a huge frenzy in our market, and the buyers, understanding the opportunity to buy in at these lower rates, were coming out in masses to start shopping for homes. And the simple law of supply and demand just simply means is if there's not enough supply to keep up with the demand, right, then home values in this case go up, right? And so that's what we were dealing with, is a situation where we had so many buyers and not enough inventory to satisfy all the buyers in that market. And as a result, the sellers really had their choice and their pick. They could choose the terms, and many times, homes were going for over asking with very, very short contingencies and closes of escrow.
And so that's what made it a seller's market. And sellers were getting, because of the low interest rates, sellers could put a home on the market and they were getting $20,000, $30,000. It wasn't even unusual to hear a seller getting $60,000 or $70,000 above list price. But I want to remind everyone this afternoon that that is not the only reason that you sell. So you may need to sell under different circumstances, which still makes you a great candidate for putting your house on the market in this season. You don't have to think that, oh, now's not a good time to sell because I'm not going to make $60,000 above list price. Can I tell you that was a unicorn season, right?
Yeah.
That isn't what always happens. A typical healthy selling and buying market, you're not making $60,000 above list price. You're getting you are getting what you have in equity. And that should be the goal. Anything above that is not even icing, because all cakes have icing. The equity is part of the icing, right? Having a smooth transaction is the icing. Getting that 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 above list, ladies and gentlemen, that's the sprinkles on the cake. That's having 2 or 3 cakes when you really only need one. I'm trying to give you an analogy. So this past market, just because you're not getting 20, 30,000 above list, it doesn't mean that you don't sell. If you have to sell in order to get more above list, it means you don't have the equity to sell and you shouldn't be selling. But if you have the equity to sell, some of these reasons that I'm going to rattle off might be a reason for you to give me a call and let me list your home for you and get it sold to a wonderful buyer, maybe even one who's trying to position themselves through our Club 100. So what if your family is growing or shrinking? If you have a home where you have accumulated a certain amount of equity and your family is growing or shrinking, not only are you a good candidate to sell your home, this is also what? A great time to buy. If you have equity in your home and your family size is growing, or the kids have left, or whoever you had living in your house for years, you got empty space, you don't need all that space, your bills are higher than they need to be, you got a pool that you don't use, pools burn up energy, so on and so forth. Now might be a good time to pass that asset on to somebody else, recover your equity, put on the market, and buy something that's more appropriate for you. Number 2, delaying your commute. Is it just too difficult to get around? If you want a change of environment or a change of scenery and you have equity in your home without the expectation of trying to get $30,000, $40,000 more, then now might be a good time to sell. And I want to also, when I say equity in your home, you bought it for $200,000, now it's worth $4,000, right? You bought it at a price much lower than what it's worth. You already have 50, 70, 80, 100, 200,000 in equity in your home. You are a great candidate to sell your home and lateral over into something else if you want. If you're changing jobs, I'm working with 2 buyers right now who are relocating to the Sacramento area. One of the families has changed jobs. So the husband has changed jobs. The wife is going to be changing jobs because they are now in escrow on their new home. They did an assessment, a finance assessment on their property in the area that they're coming from, and it's not feasible for them to hold it. So they're going to sell it, use that money to put into their purchase. I have another client from another area. They are relocating to Sacramento, and they are selling the home where they are, putting all of the money into their home here, and it's going to be their forever home. So you make those kinds of decisions. Those decisions aren't based on market conditions. Those decisions are based on life circumstances. So when you have a home that you may be thinking of selling, don't allow market conditions to be the deciding factor. They do have some bearing on it, but at the end of the day, it's all about your personal situation, your personal financial situation. If you're nearing retirement, that's another reason to sell your home. It can offer you a lot of benefits. It can give you a hefty sum of cash that you can put into an individual retirement account or 401k, right? It can provide much needed support if you're no longer earning an income. It can make it easier to travel. No more bills, no more maintenance when you buy down, right? What if you're tired of the maintenance and upkeep? That's another reason to sell your house. Sometimes we buy these very glamorous homes with these huge yards and swimming pools and, the paint jobs that are needed. If you are ready to walk away from all of that and get into something more feasible, more manageable, now is still a good time to sell. And then what if you need more cash flow? What if you want to get, because it's becoming a buyer's market, you've got equity in your home. How about positioning yourself to place that cash into other into other properties, to build your net worth, to increase how many homes you actually own? You can use it for that purpose. If your neighborhood is going downhill, it might be a good time to sell. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that it's going downhill. There are some neighborhoods that you wake up one morning and they just don't look the same anymore. What happened? When did that building get there? And it's not what you moved into it hoping it would be. It's changing. It may be time for you to make a change and sell your home. What if you just want brand new? You've never had a brand new home. You bought your first home. You just want to get your foot in the door. We often tell our buyers that just get your foot in the door. Just buy a home. Well, you've been sitting in that home for 3 years or 5 years or 7 years, and doggone it, you want something new or newer or new to you. It may be a good time to put that house on the market. Get the equity out of it. And I'm sure Jamal say, if they take the equity out of their home, Jamal, and buy another one, what are some of the different things they can use that equity for that might help them in this new market as interest rates are rising? I'm thinking the rate buy down. You're on mute, sir.
Sorry, I had some background. So yeah, that's a great point. So we have a temporary buy down option that a buyer can use to buy their rate down 1 point, 2 points, or in some cases even 3 points in the first year. There's also permanent buy down options that a customer can use to lower their interest rate on a more permanent basis, depending on their goals with the new house. If it's a short-term property where they might be in it for 3 or 5 years, or if it might be their forever home, we'll probably strategize and plan what's the best way to approach that. But there's definitely some options to get that rate lower than where the market is right now.
And I'm glad that you explained that. Some people have some qualms about the rate buy down. How do you dispel those qualms?
Well, a lot of it is looking at the break-even point. So there's some mathematical equations that we can quickly just go through to see what is the point onto which buying down this rate actually makes sense. If you're going to be in the home for more than 5 years, and the break-even point, meaning the amount that you're spending to buy down the rate, you're going to recoup that in 3 to 5 years, and you plan on staying in the house for longer than that, then it might make sense. And so we do those formulas for a client, show them what that break-even point is, and kind of let them know, give them as best advice as we could as to what direction they should go and how much should they actually buy that rate down.
Now we're using that 3 to 5 year benchmark. And is that, I don't like to say that interest rates are going to go down next year. We would never say that as if that's going to happen. But we do know that what goes up does come down.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. This is a very cyclical thing. Real estate, finance, what goes around comes around, right? So for sure, there's going to be an opportunity. And I like to use the phrase, marry the house, but date the rate, right? Meaning, right? So you might find the perfect house that checks all of your boxes, that has all the amenities that you need at the exact right price and right budget for you. Now, the chances and the probabilities of you finding that exact same situation could be, very slim. But the idea that at one point you can refinance and get a lower rate, that's a higher probability. That's a higher likelihood, right? So if you find the right house, jump on it and focus on getting that rate down and optimizing your mortgage as you settle into the right property.
That's awesome advice, especially knowing now that there are so many more properties that are going to be made available. Buyers are going to have so many more options, and new home construction is still coming. We're going to take a break, but the last one, number 9, is what already existed, which is the market is hot and it was just a great time to sell. But notice that that's the last one. Out of 9 different reasons that you can sell your home, we just experienced one. So there are 8 more reasons, ladies and gentlemen, that you can and should sell your home if you need to. You're listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I am Agent Key. If you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube, the show still continues. So catch us there. But right here on 97.5 FM KDEE, we're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back.
All right.
Hey, you guys, thank you for tuning in. And if you are watching, say something in the comments. Hi, Sunsaray. How are you? Yes, my pleasure. Good afternoon, Miss Felisa. How are you, dear? Good to see everybody. If you are watching, say something in the chat and let us know you're there. If you have any questions for myself or for Jamal, feel free to type them in the chat. Now is the time. Now is the time. I had my papers in order. And of course, wouldn't you know, they jumped out of order all by themselves when I got on air. So let me see here. Get what blaze of fiddlesticks happened? Who knows? Who knows? It had to be me. It had to be me. Sunsaray says, came over because LinkedIn cut me off. Oh, so she's on Facebook. LinkedIn cut you off? Oh, no. Oh, no. I wonder what's going on over there. Okay. So, Jamal, can you talk a little bit more about the rate buy down and helping people to understand that? Hey, Miss Belinda. She says, hello, Agent Key and Jamal.
Hey, what's up, Belinda? Yeah. So the rate buy down is really cool. There's always been a permanent buy down, and the idea of a buy down is, you have your market rate, you have the interest rate where the market is right now, but you get the opportunity to buy down that rate from where the market is to lower. All right. So for the permanent buy down, it is generally more added to your overall closing cost. And again, looking at that break-even point and trying to figure out, does it make sense to do this? But the idea is you're going to get a lower payment by buying down your rate.
Can you give us a quick example of what that looks like? Like, what's a normal rate, and then if it gets bought down, help that make that make sense for us.
Yeah, so everyone's going to be slightly different on the idea, but let's say we're at 6.5% today for a particular.
Try to do it in 30 seconds.
Okay, so let's say someone has 6.5% rate, and they want to spend an extra $5,000 to buy that rate down. They could potentially go from a 6.5 to maybe 6.25, 6.125 interest rate, which may save them $70-$80 a month on their mortgage payment. So extrapolating what that savings is versus the cost is going to give us that break-even point, can tell us how long it will take to actually recoup the money that you spend on a buy down.
Perfect timing. We're back from the break. That was a very good general explanation.
Okay, perfect.
Hey everyone, we are back. You're listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I am Agent Key, and I am here in the studio virtually with one of my lender partners, Ms. Jamal Bay from Guild Mortgage.
Yay.
And so we are talking about how to prepare for 7% interest rates. And so I want to provide you all with some background on exactly how we got here. So let's get into our time machine and travel back 2 years, January 2019. The Sacramento County Real Estate Market Report reports for the month of January 2019, pre-COVID, before we knew COVID was existing, the market report headline said sales are down for January. Median sales price follows. Sales were down. The median sales price also was down. On January 10th, the World Health Organization announces the outbreak in Wuhan, China, is caused by the 2019 novel coronavirus. That's the first time we hear about this globally. The month of January 2019. The stats for the month of February come out and says February 2019 sees a new monthly high for the median sales price. So 1 month after the announcement of COVID, the median sales price increases. In March, the headline reads, Sacramento County median sales price reaches $400,000. That almost seems nuts. We wish median sales price was at 400, but 2019, it was beginning to climb. 2 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. And then guess what happened on March 19th? Gavin Newsom, our governor, issued a statewide, do y'all remember? I remember exactly where I was. It was almost surreal. Like, what? Wait, what? Statewide stay-at-home order to slow the spread of COVID-19, instructing residents to only leave their house when necessary. And they shut down everything except essential businesses. Concurrently, the Fed lowers interest rates to nearly zero. The Federal Reserve announced at that time an emergency rate cut on Sunday. That's Sunday, March 15th. They lowered interest rates to nearly zero. The rate cut came less than 2 weeks after the Feds cut interest rates by 0.5 point and marked their continued efforts to minimize the economic impacts of COVID. Mm-hmm. Remember that. March 15, 2019, they reported that the effects of COVID will weigh on economic activity in the near term and pose risks to the economic outlook. And in light of those developments, they decided to lower it. They said that in a statement. Right after that, now remember, the sentiment, the Sacramento County real estate report headlines in March said the median sales price reached $400,000. April, Sacramento County sees a dip in sales for April. Now, why did we dip? The reason that I'm giving you all this history and I want to talk about this is because we have to understand that there are a few things at work here. There are a few things at play that cause these numbers to rise and fall. A lot of it is behavior. And a lot of the behavior is triggered by what we see and hear, especially in the media, in the news media, and what's going on around us. So in April, we see a dip in sales because why? The stay-at-home order. Nobody was going anywhere. Tons of rules and restrictions were created around showing homes, hesitancy to go inside people's homes. Nobody knew what this thing was, but we did know people were dying. We didn't know, we didn't have what we have now. We didn't have the relaxedness. You know, we're a little more acclimated to, we're not a little, we are a lot more acclimated to it now. People are boosted and shot and, you know, made decisions about what they are going to do, not going to do. Everybody's good with what their choices are with how to move forward with COVID. But back then, there was a lot going on, a lot going around. People were not going inside houses. So even when the feds dropped the rate to nearly zero, it still took some time for it to kick in that, holy crap, money don't cost a thing. you know and so for that first 30 days, and actually May, year to year sales volume down 36.7%. It took 2 months. It took until the month of June. The June headline in the stats in 2019 read, home sales rebound up to 46% from May. And guess what happened then? The mindset changed. Everybody's like, okay, I'm good with COVID. We know what we're going to do. We know how we're going to work around this thing. It took a couple of months for people to get acclimated with how to deal with this. So sales volume skyrocketed. In addition, the governor gave some businesses, the okay to open. So as we start getting the authority to move freely about the country again and about the state and feeling more relaxed, now we can sit back and look at what's going on with this financial situation. So therefore, July through December, I'm just going to rattle off the headlines and then we're going to jump into this. July, home sales rebound, sale prices climb. August, median sale prices climb, inventory wanes. Remember, we were already having a limited inventory supply. So like Jamal stated earlier, it was the pump was getting primed and pumped and primed and pumped and primed for a seller's market. And if you weren't paying attention that that's what was happening, you didn't know what was hitting you. You missed the train, the gravy train, when the rates were near zero. August, median sales price climbs, inventory wanes. September, increase in sales, median sales price for September. October sees stable sales, prices continue to climb. November, sales volume up 21% over 2019 demands. And then December, sales volume up 23%, inventory at 0.5. We had 15 days of inventory, ladies and gentlemen, in December 2019. What does all of this have to do with getting ready for this 7% interest rate? That year, I call it a unicorn year, and I didn't coin that phrase. I've heard it from many other people in our industry. And, because unicorns are scarce, right? That rarely happens. So what is happening right now is that the feds are just driving this car in reverse. Jamal, do you have any input? I just kind of.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. That was a great segue into where we are today, and definitely jumping back in the time machine. I remember when they announced that the federal funds rate was now zero, and people were calling me like, "So we're going to get free mortgage loans?" I'm like, "No, that's not exactly what it means."
But pretty darn close.
But yeah, the federal funds rate is the rate that banks are charged when they borrow from each other, because they have to keep overnight reserves. And so they are required to borrow from each other in a lot of instances. And the federal funds rate is the rate that banks get when they borrow from each other. And ultimately, that cost is then passed down to the consumer in the form of short-term financing. So that's your credit cards, that's your 5-year auto loan, right? And so just to put that in context, then it was zero. Today's federal funds rate is between 3 to 3.25%. Okay. And they've been raising that federal funds rate incrementally, generally by 25 basis points, small increments, really up until the last 2 weeks. At this most recent Fed meeting on Thursday of last week, they raised it 75 basis points. Okay.
Now help that make sense to us lay people who, when you say 75 basis points, what does that mean to us?
That means basically 0.75%, essentially increasing the cost of the rate at which banks borrow from each other, therefore increasing your cost as the end consumer. Okay, that has a ripple effect, which does indirectly affect mortgage rates. Okay, now to your point, driving the car backwards. When they lowered the Fed's funds rate to zero, and they started buying up mortgage-backed securities, all of that was an effort, right, to continue to spur the economy and to avoid a further recession in light of the pandemic, in light of everything that was going on at that time,
Right.
with people, the uncertainty of people's employment, and where the virus was at that time. So now we're in a completely different frame of mind, as you mentioned, right? We got a handle on what this virus actually is, what it can do. We've got our vaccines, our boosters, our double boosters, whatever that means. And we have a lot more optimism moving ahead with the direction of our economy. We have other variables now in play, though, that because a lot of it is because of the pandemic, we're dealing with a high rate of inflation. And so now we're in a position where the feds need to increase the federal funds rate to hold back inflation, right? In order to reverse the effects of everything that we've gone through and all of the money that has been printed and poured into the system over the last couple of years, okay? So this is all preventative in a lot of ways. And so the higher rates actually are helping our economy get under control so we can lower prices for the average consumer.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's I'm hopeful that everyone listening, I'm hoping that that is clear. If you're watching online right now, can you say something in the chat and let us know if this information is being made more clear, or if this is information that you knew and you're happy to hear that we are reinforcing it, or you were thinking that the purpose of this show is to inform you. This is a channel, a segment, a group of a listening audience that where these types of discussions and conversations are not happening on a regular basis at the dinner table, so on and so forth. For some of us, yes, but it's because we strategically place ourselves in those environments. But somebody right now is just listening on their lunch break or coming off their lunch break. I know a few people who tell me they get off lunch and stay in the car and listen to the show. And so I'm so thankful for you listening. And so this is for those people who make the sacrifice to tune in so that they can be better informed about that information out there that's not so readily available to them based on how they are doing their life, right? If we are not running in these circles, then this is not information that we know about. So I really like to make sure that we are making it plain, like I said at the beginning of the segment, giving you a window to see through, to make sure that it's clear, and so that you know how not only to take the best steps for you, but that you can actually assess the information and develop a plan to help you make the best decision. So for some of you, you are ready to buy right now. It's not the high interest rate that should stop you, because out there somewhere today is a seller who has a house on the market for 80 something days, and they just need to get it sold. They may not owe anything on it. It's all about mindset. You could make an offer where you ask them literally for $20,000 back if you wanted to, hypothetical situation, and do what Jamal said, a rate buy down for the first year, saving yourself $100 something or more, or a little bit less, depending on how it's set up, to where you don't have a high mortgage. And then the next year, and all of this is in an effort to get you into the home that you want because you found something that you actually like. Because guess what? Now you got more options. You got more options. So there's never going to be a right moment. There wasn't even a right moment when the rate was 0%. You know why? Because now you're competing against 100 other people. There's always going to be something that you have to deal with in every market. When it's a buyer's market, as a seller, you have to deal with the fact that you're going to have to make some concessions. You're going to have to give something up. You're going to have to come down on the price. You're going to have to fix the house, make all the repairs. You are probably going to have to do those things to get the house sold. If it's a seller's market, as a buyer, you're going to have to be ready to come in with a stronger offer because you're competing. So there is never a perfect time. When rates were low was not the best time to buy. It was a very good time to buy, but it wasn't the best. The best time to buy is what is the best time to buy for you based on your personal finances. Because the house that you love, you're going to always find it. I tell buyers, if you miss out on the first house you love, another one is coming. It's coming. So the best situation to find the best home is at a time when you don't have a lot of competition, honey. Honey, right now you ain't got a lot of competition. You can write your own offer right now and maybe for the next few years, dare I say. And to wait means absolutely nothing. It just means it's that much longer that you have to wait to get into a home that you love. I had a buyer's consultation yesterday evening with a buyer, and their goal, they were the cutest couple. Oh my God, I love them. They're in their 20s. They're in their late 20s. And the husband said at the beginning of the meeting, she's the talker. She's got all the details. She knows everything about all our finances. And he was right. She did. And I said, you married up because she's a good one right there. She said her score was like in the mid sevens, and she was trying to get his score there. And she had a goal that when they pull the trigger on buying, he's going to have an awesome score at 700. Their scores are going to be tight. They're going to have 100,000 in the bank, and she had it all laid out. By the time we were finished talking, she said, oh, well, and it's not like I completely changed their mind because they knew, but they had a vision of how they wanted it. They were aiming for it, aim for the moon and at least you'll catch a star. Is that how the saying goes? So that's I feel like that's where they were. They weren't dead set on hitting 100,000 and having the 700 plus credit scores, but she was saying that's what would make her feel comfortable. That's what they were going for while they're in the process of looking for the home. But as soon as they found the home they loved, they were going to pull the trigger, even if it happened this month. Mm-hmm. That's what my smart girl said. Mm-hmm. And I'm sharing that with you all because she had her T's crossed, I's dotted. She's talking to me about PMI. I've never, in 18 plus years of real estate, had a buyer on an initial conference talk to me about how PMI is going to impact their finances and how she has worked it out to see over time what that's going to. What? I don't even know what you're talking about. What? Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's very prepared.
So what are your thoughts, Jamal? What are you telling buyers right now where you don't sound like a salesman?
No. So I love how you put it. I mean, the dichotomy, the crazy part about what's happening is that, a year ago or 2 years ago, sure, you had a lower rate, maybe a lower payment, but it was still difficult to get your offer accepted. And by the time you did, you could literally be paying 20,000, 30,000 more than asking, right? So at one point in time, just not too long ago, although rates and payments were lower, you were spending more for the house itself, right? Spending
Right.
more for the house itself,
That's a
right?
great point.
And today, yes, your payment is a little bit higher, but you're actually getting that same home on a discount relatively. To your point, being able to get that seller credit. I pulled up a statistic today: 57.4% of homes with price drops as of August. Okay. Uh, and that's up 24% year after year. Okay. So that means now you have an opportunity with homes now dropping those prices. You have an opportunity to get that same home at a cheaper price. Okay. And so that is the idea. And to your point, there really is no perfect time per se. It is about your situation, each individual situation, and what's going on in their life, in their family's life, and the motivation. And that's really what we focus on, and that's what we concentrate around. Not so much of rates, because rates are dynamic and rates do fluctuate. Okay. But what is that budget for your monthly? Where do we need to keep that monthly mortgage payment? I do rent to own, rent versus own analysis for my buyers who are currently renting. And even at today's rates of 7%, it still makes sense when you extrapolate that over a 10-year period, 15-year period, and you factor in the 10% rent increases every month, and you compare the two. At the end of 10 years, you may have spent $200,000 on rent to fund someone else's mortgage versus at the end of 10 years having 200,000 to 300,000 in equity that you can now tap into. Okay. So it still makes sense from a mathematical standpoint, even at the 7% rates. And that's kind of where we are. We just broke 7% just on Monday. We got a little bit of price improvement today, which is great. Okay. But that's how it goes. Rates fluctuate and rates do change day in and day out. So don't be so focused on the rate. Be more focused about what is the end goal and helping you create wealth long term for you and your family.
That's great. That is great. And so we think about from 2019 to 2022, where we are. The median sales price right now is hovering somewhere around 530,000. The median sales price in 2019 at one point was 400,000. So if we look at that difference, that percentage difference, can I just tell you all that a normal real estate market, we see a normal real estate market will give you a 3 to 5% equity increase year over year. We saw a 27% increase in 2 years. That is 8 times, 9 times the normal amount.
Right. Right.
That is a unicorn, ladies and gentlemen. That's not a normal market. And I really want you to understand, when we say it's not a normal market, we don't say it's not a normal market every year. We're only saying it for this particular instance because we're moving back into a normal market. The feds have put the car in reverse to get us back to where we were before COVID struck the nation. We were on track to building more homes, to increasing the inventory. Laws had been put in place. Policies had been put in place. The trigger had been pulled. That's why you see all of these houses popping up literally overnight right now, because they were already in the works. The permits had already been pulled and plans had already been approved, and then COVID hit. So believe us when we tell you inventory, I don't even have to tell you inventory is coming. As a matter of fact, this is a good time. I'm going to say hey to Daniel, who's watching. Hey there. We always want to acknowledge our online folks and let y'all know there's a conversation happening online. Catch us on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter if you want to watch it live. Daniel said, not sure if you touched on it, but can you educate us on buy downs? Daniel, put the tape in reverse because he did. He talked about the rate buy down during the break. So if you come back to the segment, it's recorded online and you can watch the playback and it'll talk about the buy down. Yes. Sure about it. McDowell says, hi, Agent Key. He mentioned rent to own in this day of age. Is there still such a thing? Suki.
Oh boy. That's a whole show. That's a whole show in itself, Key.
And there is a show on it, and I'll give you a little bit about it, but let me say this real quick and get this out as we're talking about new home construction. If you all live in the Elk Grove area, as we talk about houses popping up, the Winco off of Sheldon, Sheldon, where it turns into Bruceville, Sheldon and Bruceville, and there's a third street. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there is a builder over there, and the homes are called There's 3 communities. Tamarind at Sheldon Farms. The homes are starting at 500. Oops, I can't give the price, y'all. I can't give the price on the air. I can give the price.
You can give the price, but you can't say a price of a ticket.
Oh,
come see me when you.
Okay. Do y'all see how Jay King just flex his muscle around this? He just interrupt my show, but he did tell me I can say the price. So homes are starting in Tamarind at Sheldon Farms at $545,000, 1,969 square feet to 2,300 square feet. In the second community, Carnelian at Sheldon Farms, same area, $561,000, 1,895 square feet to 2,500 square feet. Third community, Persimmon at Sheldon Farms, starting in the low 500,000, 511,000. They are open right now. They are open. There are reps in there. There are models that are built. They are selling. I was going to give you guys, the Taylor Morrison at what is it called? Meridian? What is it? Madeira Taylor Morrison, but they're sold out. They're closing. They're selling homes, moving people in every 24 hours, and they're going to be sold out. They are actually sold out. They're going to be closed down and done by November. But the homes starting at 511,000 start at 1,717 square feet to 2,022 square feet. I am sharing this information with you because I know a lot of people who were at the $500,000 price point purchase, and here now are homes available, brand new construction, and it looks like it is going to be a super nice community. I really like the way that they have laid it out. And shoot, we've missed our other break. We just talked right through it. Sure about it, McDowell. I will tell you this. I'm not a fan of rent to own. And there are 3 main reasons. Number 1, the contract is typically written on the side of the seller. You will end up paying more for the house than you need to. Number 2, it takes away your right to choose because you can only choose a property that they have available, and it's only a handful. And then number 3, which is the most important, you still end up having to qualify to buy the home when it's time to exercise your right to buy. And so they lock you into a 2-3 year or more lease because you need to work on your credit and save some money, when reality, it only takes you about 6 months on average, if there's something wrong with your credit, to get it where it needs to be, because all you need is a 540 to qualify, 640 to unlock down payment assistance. And most people don't realize that they have the ability to do that in less than 6 months. You don't have to get into a lease option to do that. And as a first-time home buyer, there are plenty of down payment assistance programs available. And we are now in a buyer's market, so you can probably ask the seller to pay all your closing costs. So hopefully that answered that question for you. Did you want to add something, that, Jamal?
Okay, so the only thing I wanted to add to the point of inventory coming on is I feel like the inventory is in a we're still in a very healthy market. And I say that because inventory is coming on the market in the right way by motivated sellers and by new builders and new construction. When we look at the rate of REOs, which indicate the amount of foreclosures on the market, when we look at how many short sales are going on the market, it's not a lot. That means people are not losing their homes like it was in 2008 when we had all of this inventory because of foreclosures on the market. We're still at a 2 month, we're at 2 months inventory as of August's numbers. We're still in a very healthy real estate market by all means. Yes, we have to find an equilibrium between sellers and buyers market. That's inevitable. But at the end of the day, our market is still robust. We're still in a good position. I'm not on the side of the doom and gloom and the market is crashing.
Oh, Jamal, you're
And the
breaking.
numbers just speak for itself there. Are we done? Uh-oh. We went out. Is that it?
Businesses who rise and fall. A lot of it is behavior.
And short sales are not appearing. Hey, Jamal, we lost you because the feed got lost, but I was telling everyone we're out of time. We're making a really good point about the fact that REOs and short sales are not on the market and that the market is very robust and it's created to do. I will see you at the top.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Okay. So all right, thanks, Jamal. Bye, you guys. Love y'all. See you next Wednesday. Thank you, sir. Hey, Ron. Hi, Michelle. All right, you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye, Jamal.
Bye-bye.